Good afternoon, fellow yogis. My name is Christina. I am getting us caught up because I haven't been on in a couple weeks, and we needed to catch up with Yoga Sutras 9 through 14. So if you've been watching, or if you haven't been watching and you're curious and want to continue following, you can, if you want, get the book, Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Mine's duct taped together because it's falling apart, but it's the Sutras of Patanjali by Swami Satchitananda. And that's, you can get any sutra book you'd like, but this is the one that I'm using. And if you would like, you can review the first 3 videos, I believe, going over Sutra 1 through 8. And the Yoga Sutras is an explanation of how yoga works. So when you begin your practice of asana or postures and breath work, after a while you'll begin to question, if you don't understand mental modifications and the monkey mind or mind chatter, you'll begin to question talking to self and answering self. You'll begin to question past memories, future worry, and so it's nice to have this book to guide you, help you understand. It'll actually, I think, speed up the process, kind of give you a boost in your practice. Because once you start understanding, you're like, oh, this is normal. Oh, this is good. So what's happening to me is actually a good thing. And so when you practice yoga, the process helps you create space in your body and in your mind. And so in the mind chatter, talking to self and answering self, mental modifications is what it's called, how they describe it in the sutras. You begin to create space between that as well. When you have, over time, created a lot of space in the body and in the mind, your true self, the seer, is revealed. And it's not really a magical thing, but it feels so magical. You begin to feel more at peace. You're healthier. I mean, you feel all the way around more balanced, healthier, happier. Really, it's the key. It's what everybody's asking for. When you're under a lot of stress, when you're depressed, when you're anxious, when you're stuck, when you're struggling in life, all these negative words, I could probably list a lot more. The key is practice. And so Sutra number 9 is continuing in the understanding the mental modifications. So an image that arises on hearing mere words without any reality is verbal delusion. And so if, say, someone shares a story with you, verbally tells you a story, you create a mental image in your mindset, and that is illusion. So if you share that story with someone else, they create a mental image of that, and so they perceive it for themselves. And if it continues on, the story changes. So it's a complete delusion. And it's beneficial to understand that so that we don't take things so seriously. We judge a little less and don't allow for suffering. And so that's number 9. Number 10, Sutra number 10, the mental modification supported by cognition of nothingness is sleep. And it basically states that we think that there is no thought when we sleep. In actuality, there is thought when we sleep. I'll read what I've highlighted here. If there were no thought and you were completely unconscious, you would not even feel that you had slept. And so, Sutra number 11, when a mental modification of an object previously experienced and not forgotten has come back into consciousness, that is a memory. And that's really important as well, because our memories tend to come up in the present and we tend to react to the memories, whether good or bad. If they're a bad memory or a traumatizing memory, we can experience trauma in the present. If it's a great memory, we can experience joy in the present, pleasure or pain. Real important to understand that the past is not happening now. And I didn't learn that until I was in my early 30s, or maybe it was very late 20s, or I think it was around 31, 32 is when I actually understood that from practice. And so it's not about age. You know, some of us are, you know, in our 60s and 70s, and we're still being traumatized by our past or belief that we are our thoughts. Sutra number 12, all of our mental modifications, the mental modifications are restrained by practice of non-attachment. So all of these thought forms are going to continue throughout our life. Mental modifications of many kinds. It's just going to keep rolling, you know. There's no way for us to control it or to stop it altogether because we're experiencing life. But with yoga practice and with non-attachment, we gain power. And so, I'll read this paragraph right after Sutra that explains Sutra 12. On the positive side, you practice. On the other side, you detach yourself from the cause of these modifications. Patanjali gives both a positive and negative approach to thought control, which he proceeds to in the following sutras. So 13 and 14. So of these two, this is number 13, effort toward steadiness of the mind is practice. So effort toward steadiness of the mind is practice. So whenever you find, whether on or off the mat, when you find that your mind is not steady, it's important to do what you need to do to steady the mind. So maybe you go practice yoga and you'll find some space, peace with that practice. Or maybe you go sit under a tree and do some breath work. 15, 20 minutes of deep breathing, maybe a little meditation, will steady the mind. Continuous practice, not just for 1 or 2 days. You have to always be at it, not just for a few minutes a day, and then allowing the mind to have its own free time all the other hours. So it's any time you see that unsteadiness, you notice that unsteadiness, that you practice. And so Sutra number 14, practice becomes firmly grounded when well attended for a long time, without a break and with all earnestness. So the first qualification, I'm just reading what I've highlighted in here. Like I said, it'd be good for you to have the book so that you can read thoroughly to its entirety, and you can go back and repeat, because as you can see by following me, it is a challenge to read and also to express it. So it's good for you to have the book. You will read it many times over and over. So the first qualification for the practice is that it should be done for a long time. I would think for your entire lifetime that yoga would be part of your practice. It's not just about the poses. And so it also should be practiced without a break. So I know a lot of students who have practiced with me and then got caught up in work and or just got out of the habit of showing up for themselves, and we can all do that, and stopped practicing. And then maybe 6 months later they come back and get on the mat again. And I have a lot of students that have been practicing with me since I've been teaching. I mean, I've been teaching, this is I think around year 11, and I've really created family community with my students that have, not my students, but with these students that have been practicing with me for the last 11 years. And they couldn't fathom ever giving up their practice and never thought they'd have a home practice, but now they do, and probably appreciate this quarantine for some of them, for the fact that it has pushed them to practice at home, to take their mat home. So it should be a continuous practice. So it should be without a break. It should be continuous and in all earnestness, and that means giving it your full attention. And so just like all your other responsibilities in life, your practice is one of those big responsibilities that should be something that you don't really, that you plan around, actually, that you do plan around. So you plan around, you schedule doctor's appointments and you don't cancel them. You schedule a vacation, you take your yoga mat with you, or take a, travel mat with you, and find time to practice when you're on vacation. Because it's not a vacation from yoga. And so with faith and with faith in your achievement, that you're getting somewhere, that you are doing the soul searching that you've always desired. Because when people say, I want to find myself, I need to get away from this place, I need to find myself. Well, you're just going to take yourself with you wherever you go. You can't just get away and find yourself. You need to learn to find yourself right here and now. And it takes time. So you will be after it day and night. And so your practice is not just when you're on the mat. And I love this that I've highlighted. So let us not be like little children who sow a seed today and dig it up tomorrow to see how much root went down. No, we don't plant our flowers by the seed and then just dig them up a few days later to see how far they've grown. No, we take the time to water that plant and nurture that plant until it blooms. And so and the last part that I wanted to read, just to sum it all up, and this will complete 1 through 14. If you are patient, your mind is more settled, and what you will do will be more perfect. If you are unsettled and anxious to get the results, you are already disturbed. Nothing done with that disturbed mind will have quality. And so it's not how long you practice, but with what patience, what earnestness, and what quality also. And so thank you again for following me as I'm trying to help you understand the sutras and what's going on in your practice, what's happening to you in your practice. And again, I look forward to seeing you all back in class soon. Namaste.